This is the exact aggressive Facebook ad strategy that enabled us to take a brand new store from $0 to over $210,000 in our first 30 days of running the brand new store. Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. My name is Camille, known as the ECOM King, and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you the exact Facebook ad strategy, the aggressive strategy that we used to be able to take this brand new store from $0 to over $210,000 with a brand new pixel. Now in this video I'm going to be progressively focusing on the actual Facebook ad strategy, and I'm going to be breaking it down to you. I'm going to be showing you the ad account so you guys can see exactly what we did, so you guys could try this own aggressive strategy in your own business. I'm also going to be showing you the Shopify dashboard to show you that this is all real. I'm also going to be showing you how we found the product, the logistics, how we found an agent, but I'm going to primarily be focusing on the actual Facebook ad strategy because I believe that is 80% of the reason why we're able to achieve this success. So in this information, I'm going to be covering things like super lookalike audiences, super retargeting audience. Now these kind of things are just not covered on YouTube. So guys, if you appreciate all this free information, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't already, turn the post notifications on because we do one video a week on this YouTube channel and 2 live streams every single month. Now, a massive disclaimer before we actually get into the video today. Number one, I don't want you guys to watch this and think you guys can achieve the exact same results as what we did, because do bear in mind, guys, this was done very quickly and very aggressively. To be able to achieve $210,000 in the first month of starting a store is not easy. You need a lot of cash flow, you need to have a very good logistics in place, and you need to know a lot about how Facebook works and how advertisements work. Now, the next thing that you need to understand is there's a team of people behind this store, so they all deserve all the credit. So one of the persons and the main person in the team was Jeremy, and I was actually his mentor at one point, and he was a mentee, but now he's a mentor of his own, and he has his own YouTube channel, and I'll leave that in the description. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to his channel and show him the appreciation that he deserves, because he deserves all the credit as well for this case study. Now, the next thing that I want to say, guys, is do bear in mind that me and Jeremy know what we're doing when it comes to Facebook ads and Shopify dropshipping. So that's the reason why we're able to get really crazy results. And do bear in mind, this store was done back before Black Friday, so it was the best time of the year as well, and that's why these results are so aggressive. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys the Shopify dashboard and all the analytics, because I know some of you guys are going to think this is too good to be true, so I want to show you the proof first. So as you can see, I'm in the Shopify dashboard. I'm going to refresh the page as well, so you guys know that all these numbers are real. And as you can see here, this is last year's view from the 1st of Jan to the 31st of December, and you can see throughout the whole year, nothing was done, and then all of a sudden you can see this shoot up because that was the month that we were able to generate 212k. The store overall did 244k, but in that month, which I'll be changing it to now, as you can see, if we change this to November last year, so you can see in November 2020, so the 1st all the way to the 30th, you guys can see it's changed it to 211,000, and that just shows you guys that that is the solid proof. And you can see here the online store conversion rate was very, very good. It was 3.2%, and that's basically industry standard, if not above industry standard. You can see the average order value there, you can see the online store sessions, and you can see the analytics overall look very, very positive. And just to prove this again, I am going to refresh the screen so you guys can see this is completely real, and I'm going to change it back to last year so you guys can see that it was done in a complete month, so you guys can see their graph again. No activity, and then all of a sudden we were able to achieve those results. So guys, you can see I'm in the Facebook Ads Manager, and this is the bit that I'm sure all of you have been excited to see, the advanced aggressive Facebook ad strategy. Now I'm going to refresh the Ads Manager so you guys know this is completely real as well. So you can see I'm refreshing the Ads Manager, and you can see everything's going to stay the same way as it was. So all of those things are getting refreshed, and I'm just going to get rid of these notifications because you don't want to see them. And as you can see, I'm going to scroll down so I can show you from when we started running some of the campaigns, and you can see the date here, the 1st of November to the 30th of November, and you can see the total spend was $122,000, and we got back in return $246,000. Now do bear in mind that that number is a little bit higher than what it needs to be. Facebook has captured data that isn't true by I think around about $4,000, so just do bear that in mind, that Facebook doesn't always accurately track the data. It's either down by 20% or up by 20%, so do always bear that in mind. But the thing that you guys are here to see is how we managed to scale this product to over $210,000 100K with the aggressive Facebook ad strategy. So to give you guys some context, I'm not going to be showing off the actual product itself because I don't want to give it away, but the actual product itself was in the kids industry, the kids toy industry. So just do bear that in mind when I go over the Facebook ad strategy. So we started off with a CBO campaign, and we made the budget, as you can see here, it says budget. We put the budget at $120, and we wanted to test very aggressively. Now, when you test aggressively, that basically means you want to be collecting data really quickly. And again, do bear in mind that this was during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period, and we wanted to make sure that we got enough data in time to explode for the rest of the year. So we were testing the CBO, and we were doing interest targeting because it was a brand new pixel, brand new ad account. We had no data, so we started off with interest targeting. Now, we did around about 10 to 20 interest inside of that CBO campaign, and we didn't actually set any minimum spends in that campaign. We left them completely off. Now, the actual product itself was priced at around about $54. So overall, that was quite even in terms of how much we were spending, in terms of how much we could get a cost per result, because depending on the price of your product depends on how much you should actually spend on your ads. So we were trying to work out what was fair and what wasn't fair, and we worked out that the $120 mark was pretty fair. And again, like I said, we want to aggressively collect data. Now, we wanted to try and test as many interests as we could. Now, the reason why we want to try and test as many interests as you could is because every product has between 20 and 80 interests that you could possibly use in that niche. Now, you can also do interest related to the product but not related to the niche, and that's something that a lot of people don't do. They target interest just exclusively for the niche. So that brings us on to the second campaign, and in the second campaign, that's what we were doing. We were targeting interests that were targeted to our target audience but not the actual niche itself. So that's something that I'd recommend that everybody does, because you don't want to be running out of interest, because if you run out of interest, then that means you can't collect new data, because if you can't collect new data, your ad account is just not going to perform very well. Now, I've got a little bit ahead, but in terms of how we manage the actual campaign and the ad sets, is we had around about 3 to 4 rules. Now, the first rule was if we didn't have a link click in 12 hours, we would turn the ad set off. If our CPC was over $1.50, we'd turn it off after 48 hours. Then the third one was if we didn't have at least after 3 days, if we didn't have at least a purchase that was below our ROAS, then we would turn it off, meaning that we wanted to make sure that we were profitable when we were getting purchases. So we were aggressively trying to find profitable ad sets. Now, we don't normally ever do this, but because of the time of the year, we wanted to make sure that we were profitable pretty much all the time or breaking even. Now, going back to that, when you're basically testing a new audience or new interest or whatever, you want to be making sure that you allow at least a break-even point, meaning that a lot of people, when they test, they want to see profit, they want to see making a decent amount of money. Now, as long as you're under the break-even slightly by, let's say, 15-20%, or you're breaking even, you don't need to worry. Now, a lot of people try and make money without losing a little bit to collect enough data, so do bear that in mind. And those 3 to 4 rules that I just mentioned, we're continually going throughout every single campaign that we launch, so do bear that in mind. Now, if you look at the campaign name, it says focus, because we were focusing exclusively on those kid educational interests. And then you can see here that we did another CBO. Now, what we did in that CBO, the second CBO, is we duplicated all the winning interests. So every interest, and this is talking now about scaling, every interest that got 3 sales, we would duplicate it 5 times into its own CBO. So let's say childcare had 3 sales. We'd duplicate that 5 times into its own CBO and let it run. So we'd try and scale like that, and we'd be very aggressive with the successful interest that we had. And it didn't matter if we did that with 10, we'd do that with 10. So as long as it had 3 sales, we'd duplicate it into its own CBO. So guys, if we actually look at the dates created on these campaigns, you can see a lot of campaigns were created on the 6th of November, which was actually the first day we were testing. And that's what you call testing aggressively. So if we move on to the third campaign, what we did is we took kindergarten, the interest, and we tried scaling it. And how we scaled the kindergarten interest was we put it in its own CBO, that interest. We put the CBO amount to $300. We were only targeting the exclusive niched audiences, meaning the best audience size like age, gender, country. We were putting them in that CBO. So we were basically niching down to what was working. Now, to start off with, that worked really, really well, niching down. But then after a few days, it would burn out. And the reason why it would burn out is else because Facebook's machine learning just couldn't keep going because it was too niche. So we learned on this ad account that we couldn't niche down long term. It was only short-term success that we were getting from it. So we decided to switch that out. Then in the next campaign, as you can see here, we started to do video views for the last 7 days. Now, normally you'd have to wait a couple of weeks to do video views to get enough data, but because like I said before, we were going very, very aggressive, we were able to do that on our first day. Now, we did video view 95% in the last 7 days, and we did that for $150. And again, what we were doing is we're using those 4 rules that I mentioned to you before, which is number 1 link click in 12 hours, 24-hour rule, making sure the CPC is under $1.50, 3rd day rule, 48 hours, which is 1 add to cart initiate checkout, or if it's got one of those, has it got a purchase with at least a profitable or break-even point sale cost per result. Now, the 4th rule was, did it get another add to cart or initiate checkout after the 3rd day? Then you can see in the next campaign, we did a view content CBO. And again, we did that for the last 7 days. And the reason why we're doing the last 7 days is because it was only running for 1 day. So we don't want to give the Facebook machine learning too much days that was inactive because it would ruin the actual machine learning. So then again, we would use the exact same 4 rules again. Now, in terms of how we do lookalikes, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask, how do we actually portion them? We did 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, 1 to 8, 1 to 9, and then 1 to 10. We tried that out, and we also tried loads of different lookalike arrangements out. And the reason why you want to do that is because a lot of arrangements work best on different niches. So then we'll test 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and we'd also try things like 1 to 3, we'd try 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 9, and so forth. So we'd try loads of different arrangements out in the lookalikes, and I'd recommend that everybody tries at least 3 arrangements, like I just explained to you there. Arrangements meaning the way you group the audiences up, because again, depending on the ad account, depending on your niche, will depend on how the arrangement works the best and based on how much data that you have. And then once you find an arrangement that works well, then you can use that through every lookalike audience, and you can retest other lookalikes out once you've got enough data again for them. Then we moved on to add to cart, and we were waiting for certain requirements to move on. So to do a video view, we were waiting for 2,000 video views. To do a view content, we were waiting for 2,000 view content. To do an add to cart, we were waiting for 150 to 200, and then to do a purchase, we're waiting for 100. So those are the requirements that we needed to move on. And because we were spending a large amount of budget each day on CBOs, that's what enabled us to hit these within the first 24 hours. So then we did initiate checkout, purchase, and then we worked out that 0 to 5% was working the best inside of the lookalikes. As you know, lookalikes can go all the way up to 20% if you do an API, but normally it's between 0 and 10%. So we worked out that actual 0 to 5% is the best performing percentages for our LLAs. So then what we decided to do was retest every single lookalike that we did, initiate checkout, add to cart, but this time just do 0 to 5% groups on the variations of LLAs. Now, whilst doing this, because we had a smaller audience size, we decided to decrease the budget from $150 down to $50. And what we tried doing this time is we tried adding minimum spends on each ad set, and how we worked out the minimum spend on each campaign, because CBO's campaign budget optimization was by dividing the campaign by 2 and then equally dividing it out by how many ad sets that we had inside of the actual campaign itself. So what you'd do is you'd give half the budget to the minimum ad set, and then you'd leave the other half for the CBO to work out where to spend the money depending on which is working the best. So then we moved on to a super lookalike audience. Now, for those that don't know what a super like audience is, it's basically where you stack all your best lookalikes into one campaign. Now, we actually tried this in an ABO, and we thought maybe this might work better in an ABO because we're going to be using a lower budget. When you're doing super lookalike audiences, you always want to test on a lower budget just to make sure that you don't lose loads of money because they might not even work. So the best way to test on a lower budget is always an ABO. So we're doing $20 in an ABO. And a super lookalike audience is, let's say, for example, view content, 2% was working really, really well. Add to cart, 8% was working really, really well. Purchase, 6% was working really well. You create a campaign and put them all inside of that one campaign and just stack them on top of each other. That is what we call a super lookalike audience. We do it in ABO at $20 a day just to make sure, and $20 a day means that's divided on how many ad sets that we've got, just to make sure that we don't lose lots of money in case it doesn't work out. So then the next campaign that we had was a creative campaign testing. Now, something that we knew that we were running into was creative fatigue, and the reason why we were going into creative fatigue was because we were spending a lot of money. Facebook machine learning was going through that money very quickly, and because we were only using a small amount of ads, we realized that Facebook was getting fed up of using the same ads because of the amount of money that we're spending. So we had to implement more creatives into the mix. So then we started creative testing to see which new creatives that we got were going to work the best going forward. So then going forward, as you can see on the ad account, we had a CBO for jump for a certain interest, and that just basically means that you're jumping up the budget. And then the next campaign, we had an LLA 5% view content CBO, and we duped that, basically duplicating an existing exact same campaign. We're just duplicating it to scale horizontally. And then you can see here, we did the exact same for another interest right here. You can see the name of the interest. Then we did a super lookalike audience again, but this time we put it into CBO format at $300 a day because we realized that that was actually really working well, and we wanted to scale using increased budgets. So as you can see on the 8th of November, you can see that we were doing a lot more single interest CBOs, and we were really niching them down again to certain age range and certain gender, ages, and locations. And again, although they were giving us short-term gains with really good days, like 3 to 5 days of really good ROAS, it was to pump more and more data, because there's no better way to collect data than pushing interest. Interest, in my opinion, give off the best data to do retargeting and lookalikes. So you can see there we did that for a lot of different of our best performing interests. And then what you can see is we moved on to LLA 75 views, and we did an aggressive bunch of video views in the last 7 days, making sure that we're split testing all the best creatives. And you can see the budgets range from $20 to $300. And again, the ones that spent the most money in budget in terms of lifetime were the ones that performed the best. Now, as you can see that we've got loads of different ones, new 2, new 1, newest. And that was based down on the actual data that we had. So is it the newest last 7 days or not? And that's what we meant. And we would change around the data depending on the last 7 days. Now, in terms of how we increase the CBO budget, because I know a lot of you guys are going to say, how do you increase CBO budget? Is we do it between, if you're going aggressive, like we were going aggressive every single day, you tend to do it every 6 hours. Now, depending on the ROAS, depending on the add to carts and link clicks. So for example, if your ROAS is break even, you might want to increase it by 20%. If you've got break even but a high add to cart ratio, increase it by 30. If you're just over break even and you're profitable, you can increase it by 40%. If you've got break even being profitable and you've got a good add to cart ratio, then you might want to increase it by 50%. And that's kind of how we do it every 6 hours. And we do the exact same. So after another 6 hours, if it's performing a little bit worse, we'll pull it down slightly as well. So then we move on to hot retargeting. Now, hot retargeting basically means people that are the most recent people in our funnel, which will be in the last 24 hours. And that's what we would call hot retargeting. And in the side of the retargeting campaign, we'll try every single event, view content, add to cart, purchase, but it'll be any event that would be in the last 24 hours. So if we've got more view content in the last 24 hours, that would be inside of the hot retargeting. Now, we did the exact same with warm retargeting. Warm retargeting basically means the last 7 days or the last 3 days. And then the more the days go by, the cooler it gets, Then we move on to house TV series. And again, this is an interest CBO campaign that is an interest that would relate to our audience, but they wouldn't be direct audience types. So it's somebody outside of the box. And again, you've always got to be testing outside of the box when you're scaling. Then we move into an LLA 5% view content, and that would basically just be a CBO for 5%. It wouldn't be 0 to 5, it would just be 5%, and it would be all the view contents inside of that, and that would be a jump to $300. Then we do another creative testing again on the 9th of November because we were getting into a lot of creative fatigue, so we did another creative testing. Then we moved on to, again, more interest targeting CBOs and ABOs, and you can see on this one, we had the 1,500 daily spend on these, and the end game basically means all the ones that we were basically running since then, the best performer, no matter what it was, lookalike, whatever, it would basically go inside of that campaign, and we would try and scale it as aggressively as we could, because whatever works best, interest, you just want to whack them together. The only thing that you do not want to do is you do not want to be mixing retargeting and lookalikes together, because that will not work well. But in the end game, we would put all of them inside of there, apart from, again, like I said, retargeting and lookalikes, and just let them run. So guys, we were pretty much doing that exact same format till the end of November. So I'm going to scroll through the ad account. You can see the date here, and you can see we're pretty much doing the exact same thing. We'd give it 7 days. We'd do warm retarget, hot retarget again. We'd do all the lookalike video views again. So basically what we were doing is we were testing everything that we did in the first few days, every couple days. Now maximum would be 7 days. So as you can see here, you're going to see a lot of things looking the exact same. Hot retargeting, certain lookalike percents, and you can see all here the exact same. So we were literally just retesting the best creatives, the best audiences again and again and again with the exact same strategy in place. You can see here some of them says minimum spend, meaning the CBOs with minimum spend included would be the ones that we actually include minimum spend in to see which would work best, which would work not. So for example, the audiences that would work really well, the ones that we didn't put a minimum spend on, we do a campaign with minimum spend on. So we're testing loads of different things. Now again, if you just look at the names of the campaigns and the dates, you can see guys, it's pretty much the exact same as what we were doing in the first 3 days, but what we were doing is just retesting everything with a new creative. We were testing things based on data being in the most recent days, and that would basically be it. And again, I'm going to keep scrolling, and you can see here we're doing more and more and more. There was times that we were doing stacked interest. So for those guys that don't know what stacked interest are, it's where you put loads of best performing interest inside of one ad set. So instead of putting them spread out between each ad set, you'd stack the best performing interest inside of one ad set and you'd let it rip. That's a really good strategy if you've got a lot of data. Personally, I find that works really well. Now you don't want to be doing stacked interest early on because you can't pull out the data individually, they're grouped, so it's really hard to work it out. So that's why you only want to be doing stacked when you've scaled really aggressively, because actually differentiating the data isn't as important because you've already got enough there to do so. So then you can see we're doing things like no interest targeting, where you basically target your top 5 countries, UK, US, Canada, whatever your top 5 countries are. Each ad set has a top country, 1 country per ad set, and then you do a niched age group and you just target nothing but the country, and you'd leave it very broad. And again, you can only do that when you have a very successful pixel with a lot of data, because if it's not, it's just not going to work very well. And as you guys can see, till the 8th December 8th, we started to scale down just because of Christmas and due to delivery times and stuff like that. We scaled very slowly. But again, if we go back down the ad account again, you guys can see everything is pretty much the same. You can see some of these here saying BFCM, Cyber Monday, Black Friday. That's what it stands for here. And these were basically creatives that were special for that. So when it came to the end of November, from the 23rd down to, let's say, the 29th, we were running special creatives for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It'd pretty much be the same creative, but with a Black Friday advertisement on the thumbnail. Same with Cyber Monday. So that's what you can see there. But pretty much in terms of what we were doing was pretty much the exact same as what we were doing before. So I want to quickly show you guys this part of the ad account where we're spending $1,000 to $2,000 a day on each CBO campaign. Now, when you want to scale very aggressively, it's just about putting your best audiences inside of a CBO and basically putting a very high budget on the CBO. And when I say high budget, it's between 500 upwards, and basically just letting them rip. Now, something else that we can do when we get to this level is by managing the bid. Now, every ad set and campaign, depending on how you do it, has a bid cap. Now, when you play around with the bid caps, there's a higher risk of basically blowing your account. But when you play with the bids, it just gives you a better chance of consistency, and that's what we were doing when we were getting to this level. I'm not going to cover manual bidding today. I'm going to cover it in a different video. But what I'm trying to say, guys, is if you really want to scale aggressive, it's just about putting good things, really good things with a lot of data. And when I say a lot of data, I mean at least 2 weeks of consistent aggressive spend into a CBO, putting that budget very high, testing minimum ad set spends and testing without. What we found that without was working better when we were scaling with those kind of budgets, and just letting them go and just slowly maintaining them every few days. Something else that's really important, guys, is to make sure that you have a software in place. We use Magix, and what that allows us to do is it allows us to auto reply to comments. Replying back to comments when you scale this aggressively is so important, because for people to see your ad and see the comments and see you replying to it makes it feel like you're a real brand, and you're helping people out, you're there for your community. So we use a software where it will do it for us, and it really does help with the engagement and the actual ad score level as well. So that's why it's so important to do that as well. Although we weren't running any engagement campaigns, you're still going to get a lot of engagement when you spend that kind of money on campaigns. And the other thing that I want to say to you guys that may not know this is when you're using a creative that's really well, make sure you're using the same post ID, so you're saving that same engagement, the same amount of likes, the same amount of comments on each creative, because if you don't, you're going to have to reset the engagement and everything. So make sure that when you duplicate things, you start things, use the same post ID so you can still maintain that engagement that you've worked really hard for. Because once you get a crazy engagement rate of 1 million views, lots of likes and shares, your ad will just naturally do really well. Now, when we're scaling to these kind of budgets where you're spending 1,000 a day, you're basically judging the campaign every day based on purchases and break-even ROAS, meaning that within the single day, if ad sets in there are not breaking even or they're not getting at least a profitable ROAS, you're basically killing them out and you're replacing them when you get to that kind of stage. Now, when you're spending a lot of money on your ad account like this, guys, you must monitor it every single day, at least 6 times a day, guys, because if you're not, you are going to run into some serious issues where things are just eating a lot of money away. Now, you can obviously set up automated rules and use softwares, but nothing's better than looking at it yourself because you know best. Now, something else is Facebook will never always tell you the truth because they're either 20% wrong or 20% high. So it's always good to cross-reference everything to what Shopify is telling you as well. For example, an ad set might say it got no sales, but really it did get a sale. So using a third-party track integration is important, and to always make sure that you cross-reference it with Shopify before you start killing things that actually didn't need killing. So let me just quickly talk about how we actually found the product that we scaled. So like I was saying to you guys before, I'm not going to reveal the product that we actually tested, but it was in the kids niche and it was basically a kids play toy. Now I'm going to be showing you how we actually found the product. So we use a tool like Peakster where it shows you winning Facebook ads, and what we did is we went through the catalog here. Now there's loads of different tools that do this, like Droppoint, AdSpy, but Peakster's the one that I use myself. And we just go through here and we look at products that we feel fit the perfect time of the year. And because of November last year, that's a great time for parents to buy their kids toys for Christmas. So that's why we chose that product. But depending on the time of the month, for example, it's currently January, I might want to look for a Valentine's Day or Mother's Day product. So I'm going to scroll through here and then I'm going to look at the engagement, the likes, the comments, and I'm also actually going to read the comments, read what people are saying about the product, because it's very important. I'm going to watch the video, and I was looking for a product that has at least around about 500,000 views on Facebook. We were making sure the product had a wow factor, had a unique factor. It wasn't found in Walmart where parents can just go down and buy it for Christmas. They had to come to our shop to buy it. We were looking for something with a very high perceived value. Because our product was a battery-based product, anything that has battery powered is perceived as a high value product because it has a battery in place. So that's what we were looking for. Now, what we were also doing is when we looked at these products on things like this tool at Peakster and whatever, AdSpy, Droppoint, we were trying to make sure that the product had very good creative content for it, or we were trying to make sure that the supplier that we found was very reliable as well. Now, what we also looked for, and what you can also do on tools like Peakster, is you can search for the same product and see loads of all the ads that are running the same product at the same time. And what we tried doing is we tried finding a product where every advertiser was using the same marketing angle to persuade the customer, so we could jump in and try and find something that not everybody was running as an angle that we could manipulate and help us out. So basically what I'm trying to say is everybody was using the same way to advertise the product, same way to try and captivate the audience, but we found a way that they didn't use that we leveraged to basically scale the product aggressively. Now, to do something like that, you need to have very good advanced knowledge in the industry that you're trying to sell in. You need to understand your custom avatar, and the way we did that was by asking our family and friends, because personally we don't have kids, so we wouldn't know. So we asked people like our moms, our aunties. So that's something that I'd also recommend that you guys do. Now, in terms of supplies and logistics, we started off by using a company called Hyper SKU, and we've mentioned this company a lot of times in my videos before. Now, Hyper SKU is like one product dropshipping, very much like AliExpress, but they've got their own warehouses, their own products and whatnot, and their own agents. Now, Hyper SKU is basically where you can get the same product from AliExpress, but they're gonna give you their own shipping time delivery service where instead of having to wait 40 days, 20 days, they can get it to our customers between 7 and 14 days. So guys, in terms of the logistics that we used for the product to start off with, now I always do this, it doesn't matter what product it is, we always test the product first by doing one product drop shipping, meaning that you buy the product every time a customer orders instead of buying it in bulk. But what we don't do is we don't really use AliExpress unless it's US shipping. But with the product, this one, it didn't have it. So we used a company called Hyper SKU, and I've spoke about them before many a times on my videos. Now Hyper SKU have their own warehouses, their own logistics centers, but the great thing about Hyper SKU is they have their own delivery service. It's called Hyper SKU, and their delivery service is a lot quicker and a lot more consistent. Now it is more expensive than AliExpress, but I know that I'm going to get consistent and reliable shipping times, and I know that I can speak to every single person in Hyper SKU without an issue. Now the great thing about this is when you're doing one product drop shipping to test to see if the product's going to work, at least you don't need to commit to buying in bulk, and at least you know that your customers are going to be happy with a good shipping time delivery. Now in terms of scaling, now when you scale like we did aggressively in 30 days, you cannot use companies like Hyper SKU unless they've got agents in-house and you can buy in bulk. But we found an agent, and that agent helped us with basically producing really aggressive logistic times and logistic production. In terms of when we're selling large amounts of units every single day, they could do it possibly without any issues. So when we actually scaled really aggressively, we needed to have an agent that could basically produce based on the days of sales, because each day we're getting a lot of sales because we scaled very aggressively in 30 days. So that agent helped us do that, but it didn't just help us do that, they helped us find other products that we could sell on our website as a upsell or as a cross-sell. So that's something else that the agent really helped us with, because there's no point upselling them on a product that takes an extra 10 days to deliver because it looks bad. So we wanted to make sure that when we were doing upsells and cross-sells, that both of the products that we did were coming together or within a couple of days of each other. Now what else is we use an ERP system to fulfill all the orders. Now an ERP system is a very advanced way of fulfilling orders aggressively for agents and fulfillment centers, making sure that when you're getting high amounts of orders each day, that you're able to process them fine, that each day they can get pushed out and get basically processed, which is very important if you're going to scale aggressively inside of 30 days. Now if you want to learn about that kind of stuff, ERP systems and how we scale and how we basically do logistics on scalability, let me know and I can make a video about that, guys. So just let me know in the comment section below. So the actual website itself I can't show you guys because we are going to be using it, so I don't want to be revealing it, but the website was using the debut theme with gem pages. Now gem pages is a separate builder inside of Shopify where you can make it look a lot better than a standard Shopify store. So if you want to see a tutorial on gem pages, let me know in the comment section below as well. But we went down the branded niche store. So it was a niche store, it did have a branded look to it, a branded logo, branded feel to the actual theme itself. It has some really cool features that I explain all in my free Shopify dropshipping course. So everything I explained in my free Shopify dropshipping course, that website had the same layout in terms of how we structured the product page, the colors, the theme and whatnot, but we used gem pages instead. So guys, let me know if you want to see that video on the channel. Now also, that is the end of the video. Let me know what you thought of today's case study on how we scaled aggressively to 200k in just 30 days, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.